Hi, I'm Hetty Bryant and I'm your subject convener for MGT568 Difference in Leadership. I'm just going to go over the subject and give you just a bit of an overview just to welcome you into the subject. So let's get started. So first of all, because this is a subject about difference, I wanted to actually give you a little bit of an idea about me. Not that I'm that different, but there is, we're all different, and I just thought it'd be good if you got some sense of me. So first of all, I actually come from a really diverse working life. So I started off before I started off in agriculture, I actually did some nursing and played around, did some key to disc operating and some casual work for a couple of years after I finished high school, and then I went to Wagga Agricultural College and did agriculture. And I worked in agriculture and wildlife health, specifically feral animal control and research, exotic disease preparedness. I was the training coordinator for the Department of Agriculture. And I also was responsible for coordinating the establishment of the Australian Wildlife Health Network. And I also worked I've got a Master of Environmental Management, and I worked in catchment management, the Cox's River catchment, which flows to Sydney, and located in Lithgow I was. And I also worked in land care, and also adult community education, community college, and with the TAFE, which is the tertiary education. And that was a really interesting job working between the TAFE and correctional centres. And then I came to CSU probably I think it's about 15 years now, which is the longest time. Well, I was employed by the Department of Agriculture probably the same amount of time or longer, but it has been a while. I've worked mostly in leadership and professional development and organisational change, and I decided that, I needed to use my brain again, and I got a Doctor of Communication, which was awarded at the end of 2016. And the last role I had in human resources was as the manager of diversity and equity. So having that background and actually particularly working in diversity and equity really gives me a lot of information and knowledge about this particular subject, difference in leadership. I've also been on several CSU environmental committees, and I'm currently on the Bathurst Campus Environmental Committee. And we're just designing an eco walk for the Bathurst campus. So if you come to Bathurst campus, where I'm located, look me up and I can take you on a guided tour around the campus. And I'm also the facilitator of the Charles Sturt University Leadership for Women program, which is a program that's run every second year for women leaders and emerging leaders at CSU. I'm really passionate about governance and strategy. I have been a board director for nearly 20 years now. I'm currently the board director and chair of Rahamim Ecology Centre, which is based in Bathurst. I'm also a certified professional facilitator. The core of everything that I do is facilitation, and I also run a lot of facilitation training workshops. I've done a lot of training myself and professional development in facilitation. My Doctor of Communication was based on facilitating organisational change, and I'm in a network of facilitators, and I also operate as a consultant as well and facilitate not-for-profit, workshops on change, culture, strategy, you name it. I've also a volunteer on the Bathurst Kangaroo Project, where we've relocated a whole lot of kangaroos from Mount Panorama. And I also, when I get time, volunteer at the Whole Food Co-op. I'm a mother of two. Their birthdays are both in March, so that one's almost 23, the other almost 32. My great-great-grandmother was a Samoan princess, and last year I had the privilege of going to Samoa, and so that gives me, I'm 7% Polynesian, It was interesting going to Samoa and feeling that I'd come home. The atmosphere, the heat, everything was just fantastic. So that's a bit about me. The underlying narrative and learning objectives for the subject. Well, the learning objectives are clearly stated in the subject outline, so we're not going to go over those now. But one of the key things that we're doing in this subject is actually recognizing that we're all different. So this is not just about diversity. It could just be diversity in leadership, but this is about our difference, our unique differences, but it's about our identity too. What is our identity? What is our identity compared with others? You know, what defines us? And it's not always race, ethnicity, religion, gender. You know, there's a lot more than that. There's your socio-economic background, where you've come from, where you were situated in your family, whether you were the eldest, the youngest, whatever. It's your behaviours, your cognitive beliefs. There's a whole range of things. So it's not just about diversity, it's about difference, it's about identity, and it's about honouring that. More than that, though, it's about how do we lead. It's not about managing difference or managing diversity. How do we lead in an inclusive way and an equitable way and a fair way so that we can actually honour difference and and celebrate that difference and get the best out of the people that we're working with. And I say with, not who are working for you. It's really a collaborative and collective approach. It's a relational and an inclusive approach, which goes against a very hierarchical, singular, individual approach. Okay, so that will be really the core underlying the whole subject. So I really believe in an interactive and collaborative learning environment because that mirrors the leadership that we're espousing. Having said that, though, it's very difficult when it's online. So we do have an Interact2 learning site. Hop on the site, don't be scared, have a really good look around, have a look at the Padlet, which I'll put on, and introduce yourself so other people can actually see you, have a sense of who you are, who the cohort are in the room. Respond to look at the weekly topics, which are now under modules, and there'll be a discussion forum for each of those topics. Answer the questions in the discussion forum, engage with others, respond to other people as well. We want you, students, to be working with each other as peers, as equals, and to actually be in a safe environment where you can actually explore leadership. There's readings and videos that'll be right through the subject. There's some really great videos that I include. There's the learning community. So as I said before, respond to the discussion questions. It's really important, and they will also be posted in each of the topics each week. And then there's a personal reflection. There'll be questions asked of you to reflect. And there's a think space. And we'll talk more about think space at the first introductory workshop. But go to the Interact2 site and look at why we're encouraging you to use the think space and to set up an e-portfolio, because that's where you can put all your assessments, and you can also blog, and you might read something that you think, this is great. You put it up and you respond to that. When I read this, I had this epiphany, or Smith said this and I didn't really agree with Smith and I was intrigued, etc. So start to be reflective, and if you're not going to do that in a think space, I urge you to get a reflective journal. Write things after meetings, after encounters, after workshops, after online, after you come in your space here when we have online meetings, because we'll have those every week, every second week. It's in the schedule, okay? It's not every week, but they are quite regular, and they are a very collaborative learning space, and that's through Adobe Connect. and it's really easy to click on that and to get into that room as well. That's not difficult at all. So don't worry about, all of the links will be working. If they're not, email me. I've got my contact details here. Always good to email me because I actually work part-time and I will respond to your emails. And if you call me, it comes through on my email as well. And you know, if you call me, you know, if I'm here, I'll answer as well. And also post your questions. I always set up an assessment forum. So post your questions to the assessment forum and send me an email as well, and I'll respond to those, because then everybody else has the opportunity to get that response, because quite often the questions you are asking are ones that others want to ask as well. And always remember that there are no wrong questions. Some people are scared to ask questions because they think, oh, you know, ask. It's an open, collaborative, inclusive environment that we're fostering. Okay, so I wish you well in the session, and I'm really looking forward to learning with you as well. Cheers.